The liver is one of the most important organs in the human body, and yet it's also one of the most silent. You can lose a large amount of liver function without feeling pain. No sharp warning, no sudden alarm. That's because the liver has very few pain nerves. So instead of pain, it communicates in another way. It shows visible signs on the skin, in the eyes, on the hands, in the face, in the body. These signs often appear long before advanced liver disease is diagnosed, and many people miss them, or dismiss them as cosmetic or unrelated, why liver disease is often missed. The liver is responsible for detoxifying blood, processing hormones, managing fat and sugar, producing bile. When it becomes stressed or damaged, it compensates. It works harder, it adapts, it hides dysfunction. That's why early liver disease rarely causes pain, but those changes appear on the outside. Why visible signs matter. Blood tests don't always catch early liver disease. Imaging is not always done. Symptoms like fatigue are vague, but visible signs are often present for months or years. They are clues, not diagnoses. What this series is and is not. This series is educational, preventive, awareness-focused. It is not about fear. It is not about self-diagnosis. Seeing one sign does not mean you have liver disease. But seeing patterns matters. The 3 big reasons the liver shows itself on the skin. 1. Pigment buildup. When the liver can't process waste pigments efficiently, color changes appear. 2. Hormonal imbalance. When the liver struggles, hormone effects show up on skin and blood vessels. 3. Circulatory changes. Liver disease affects blood flow, causing visible vessel and skin changes. Who this series is important for. This matters especially if you have fatty liver, diabetes, or drink alcohol regularly, take multiple medications, have viral hepatitis history, or carry excess abdominal fat. But liver disease can also appear in people who eat healthy and have normal weight, which is why awareness matters. What you should do if you recognize signs: you do not panic, you do not self-diagnose, you observe, you document, you discuss with a healthcare professional. Early liver disease is often reversible. Advanced liver disease is not. Timing matters. The liver rarely hurts when it's in trouble, but it does show. And learning to recognize those signs early can change outcomes. Join us as we explore the early visible signs your body is showing. One of the most well-known visible signs of liver disease is yellowing of the skin and eyes. This is called jaundice. Most people think jaundice appears suddenly and dramatically. Bright yellow skin, clearly yellow eyes. But that's usually late stage. Early liver stress causes subtle changes that are very easy to miss. What causes this yellowing? It all starts with how the liver processes a pigment called bilirubin. Bilirubin comes from the normal breakdown of red blood cells. A healthy liver filters, processes, and excretes it. When the liver is damaged, bilirubin builds up in the blood and deposits in the skin and eyes. Then color begins to change. Early jaundice does not always look bright yellow. The initial changes are often very subtle and easily dismissed. People may notice a dull tone to the whites of the eyes or a faint yellow-gray tint to the skin. It might just look muddy. These changes are more noticeable in natural daylight. Many people dismiss this as poor lighting, aging, or fatigue. Knowing where to look first is critical for early detection. The eyes are often the first place jaundice appears. Specifically, look at the whites of the eyes and the inner corners near the nose. This is where pigment settles first. Skin changes may show first in the face, chest, or palms. In darker skin tones, it may appear as a grayish or greenish cast. It's important to remember that jaundice doesn't always mean severe disease. Mild cases can have many causes. It can appear with fatty liver disease, medication-related stress, or temporary bile flow problems, but it is never normal. Any visible yellowing means bilirubin is elevated and deserves evaluation. Catching it early is key to reversal. As liver function worsens, the yellowing becomes more obvious and the skin tone deepens significantly. At this stage, other symptoms often appear as well. That's why recognizing early changes is so important for treatment. Early liver disease is often reversible. Advanced liver disease is not. Visible signs are your first warning. There are common misconceptions about liver health. Many people believe they would feel pain if something was wrong. But the liver rarely causes pain early on. It shows visible changes instead. Don't wait for pain to take action. Visible signs are often the first warning, not the last. Paying attention to your appearance can save your health. So, what should you do if you notice these color changes? First, do not panic and do not self-diagnose. Take note of when it started, check in natural light, and speak to a healthcare professional for clarity. Blood tests and imaging can clarify exactly what's happening with your liver and guide your next steps. Yellowing of the skin and eyes is one of the most important visible signs the liver gives us. It should never be ignored. It may be subtle and it may come and go, but it is a vital indicator of your internal health. Awareness is power. Thank you for watching part 2. In our next segment, we'll discuss how changes in your hands can signal liver issues. Invest in your awareness and you invest in your future. We'll see you in part 3. Not all visible signs of liver disease are dramatic. Some are subtle, gradual, and often blamed on skin problems rather than internal health. One of the most commonly missed groups of signs involves changes in skin color and persistent itching. Why the liver affects skin color. The liver plays a major role in clearing waste products, processing pigments, and regulating bile flow. When it becomes stressed, substances begin to accumulate. Some of these substances affect melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color. Others affect bile salts, which interact with nerve endings in the skin. The result is visible skin changes. Sign 3. Darkened skin patches. Some people notice darker patches on the face or an uneven skin tone. Brown or gray discoloration may appear on the neck, armpits, or hands. These patches may look like sun damage or aging spots. But when they appear without clear sun exposure or worsen over time, they can reflect liver stress. The liver is less efficient at clearing pigment substances. Sign 4. A muddy or grayish skin tone. People often say their skin looks tired or washed out. This isn't just cosmetic. A struggling liver affects circulation and pigment balance, leading to skin that looks less vibrant. Sign 5. Persistent itching without a rash. One of the most important and frustrating signs is itching. It occurs without a visible rash and may be worse at night. This happens because bile salts build up in the blood and irritate nerve endings. Importantly, this itching is not caused by dry skin. It's biochemical. Liver-related itching can be intense and comes and goes unpredictably. Many people spend months treating it as allergies or eczema. That delay matters. These signs are more common in people with fatty liver disease, cholestatic conditions, or medication-induced stress. They can appear in anyone, but seeing dark patches or itching does not automatically mean severe liver disease. It does mean the liver may not be processing waste efficiently. These signs are early warnings, not late ones. Do not ignore them. Pay attention to duration and progression. Discuss these changes with a healthcare professional, especially if they appear with fatigue. Skin changes are one of the liver's quieter ways of communicating distress. They may seem cosmetic, but when they persist, they deserve attention. Stay informed and listen to your body. We'll see you in the next part of our series on internal health. Another visible sign of liver disease often appears right on the surface of the skin, but many people mistake it for a harmless cosmetic issue. These are abnormal blood vessel changes, most commonly known as spider veins. What are spider veins in liver disease? Spider veins, also called spider angiomas, look like a small red dot in the center with thin red lines radiating outward, a shape that resembles a spider. They often appear on the chest, shoulders, neck, face, or upper arms. Unlike leg varicose veins, these are usually flat and painless, and they are not caused by poor circulation in the legs. Why does the liver cause these vessel changes? The liver plays a major role in hormone regulation. When liver function declines, estrogen is not cleared efficiently, and levels rise in the bloodstream. Higher estrogen causes vessels to dilate. That dilation becomes visible as spider veins. This is why these vessels are more common in liver disease than in healthy individuals. Why this sign is important. A few can occur in healthy people, but multiple spider veins, especially when they appear suddenly or increase in number, can sign chronic stress. This means the liver is struggling to regulate hormones and blood flow. Other abnormal vessel changes to notice include increased redness of the face, flushed skin without a clear cause, or small visible blood vessels appearing where they weren't before, reflect altered circulation and pressure. These changes are often linked to liver dysfunction. Why this is not just a skin issue. Related spider veins are not just cosmetic. They reflect hormonal imbalance, altered blood flow, and increased vascular pressure, all of which originate internally. Cosmetic procedures don't address the cause. These changes are more common in people with chronic liver disease, alcohol-related injury, cirrhosis, or advanced fatty liver disease. But they can appear earlier, before a formal diagnosis. Seeing multiple spider veins, especially along with other signs like fatigue or yellowing, matters. Patterns matter more than single findings. What to do if you notice them. Do not panic and do not self-diagnose, but do note when they appeared. Observe if they're increasing and mention them during medical visits. They provide valuable clues when combined with labs and imaging. Spider veins are one of the liver's more visible messages. They may seem minor or cosmetic, but when they appear in clusters, they deserve attention. Listen to your body and stay proactive about your health. We'll see you in the next part of the series. Some fruits don't cause problems because of sugar. They cause problems because of what they replace. This is one of the most overlooked issues in senior nutrition. Bones do not weaken only from what you eat. They weaken from what you stop eating. Why protein is non-negotiable for aging bones. Bones are not made of calcium alone. They are built on a protein framework. Without enough protein, bone remodeling slows, calcium can't be properly deposited, muscle mass declines. Yet many seniors eat less protein than ever, and fruit often plays a role in that displacement. The light meal problem. Many seniors replace meals with fruit because it feels easy to digest, light, and healthy. Fruit for breakfast, fruit for lunch, fruit as snacks, but fruit does not provide adequate protein, adequate minerals, adequate calories for repair. This creates silent undernutrition. You may feel full, but your bones are starving. Fruit number 8, apples. Apples are often recommended for health, and they can be healthy. But apples are very low in protein, very low in minerals. When apples are used as, the issue is not the apple, it's the pattern. Fruit number 9, pears. Breakfast, snacks, or meal replacements, they crowd out foods that bones depend on. Pears are similar to apples, low protein, low mineral density, easy to eat alone. Why calcium alone is not enough. Many seniors think, I take calcium, so I'm fine. But calcium without protein does not strengthen bones. Protein directs calcium into bone tissue. Without it, calcium may be poorly absorbed, be excreted, or deposit elsewhere. Fruit-heavy diets are often calcium-focused, but protein-poor. That combination weakens bones over time. Over time, this contributes to muscle loss, bone thinning, and increased frailty. The role of appetite decline. Aging reduces appetite. Fruit is easy to eat even when appetite is low. This is why fruit as meal is especially risky for seniors. What this does not mean apples are bad, pears are harmful. Fruit should be avoided. Some fruits harm bones not by sugar, but by displacement. It means fruit should support meals, not replace them. Fruit should come after protein, not instead of it. Swelling is one of the more noticeable signs people associate with liver disease. In reality, it often develops gradually. By the time swelling becomes obvious, many assume it appeared suddenly, but early changes are very easy to miss. The liver plays a major role in regulating fluid balance and producing proteins that keep fluid inside your blood vessels. When liver function declines, these systems are disrupted. Fluid begins to leak out of vessels and collect in tissues. That fluid buildup is what causes the visible swelling we see on the outside of the body. Sign number 12 is abdominal swelling, medically known as ascites. This is a significant finding. It may appear as a growing belly without weight gain elsewhere, or a tight, stretched feeling in the abdomen. Early on, it may look like simple bloating. Later, it becomes more obvious, firm, and uncomfortable. Ascites occurs because blood flow through the liver is impaired, and pressure builds in abdominal vessels. This results in fluid leaking into the abdominal cavity. This finding always requires prompt medical evaluation. Sign number 13 is swelling of the lower legs, ankles, and feet. This is very common in seniors. This swelling is often worse by the end of the day and may leave a visible indentation when pressed. It often improves slightly overnight. This occurs because protein levels drop and fluid escapes into tissues. While leg swelling has many causes, when combined with other liver signs, it becomes much more concerning. Sign number 14 is puffiness of the face, especially around the eyes and in the cheeks. Facial puffiness reflects fluid retention and altered protein balance. It's often most noticeable in the morning. Because the face is highly vascular, even small fluid shifts in your system can become quickly visible. It's a common myth that this is just water weight. This type of swelling is not caused by drinking too much water. It reflects deep protein imbalances, internal pressure changes, and impaired liver regulation of your fluids. Diuretics alone do not fix the underlying issue. The root cause in the liver must be addressed. There are times when swelling should never be ignored. Urgent evaluation is required if it appears suddenly. Seek help if it progresses quickly or is accompanied by shortness of breath, yellowing, or confusion. These symptoms together can signal advanced liver disease and require immediate medical attention. Swelling does not always mean irreversible damage, but it does mean the liver is struggling. Early detection significantly improves outcomes. That's why awareness of these visual signs is so powerful. If you notice swelling, do not ignore it. Do not assume it is just a normal part of aging. Document where it occurs, when it's worse, and how quickly it changes. Share this with your healthcare provider. Prompt discussion with a professional can lead to the tests and imaging needed for a clear diagnosis. Swelling is one of the liver's clearer visual signals. It reflects internal changes long before pain appears. Thank you for following this series. Your awareness is your best tool for long-term liver health. Another visible sign of liver disease often surprises people because it doesn't seem related to the liver at all. That sign is easy bruising and bleeding. Many people assume bruising comes from thin skin, aging, or minor bumps they don't remember. But when bruises appear more easily, the liver may be involved. The liver is responsible for producing clotting factors. These are proteins that help blood clot when you're injured. When the liver is healthy, bleeding stops quickly, bruises stay small, and healing progresses normally. But when liver function declines, production drops. Clotting factor production drops, blood vessels become more fragile, and bleeding lasts longer. This leads to visible changes. Sign 15, bruising from minor contact. People may notice bruises appearing without clear injury, from very light bumps, or larger and darker than expected. They often take longer to fade. In addition to bruising, people may notice frequent nosebleeds or bleeding gums when brushing teeth. These reflect impaired clotting, not trauma. Small red or purple dots under the skin and prolonged bleeding from small cuts are also key signs. Why skin becomes more fragile? Liver disease affects protein production. It affects collagen support and blood vessel strength, making skin thinner and more fragile. Even normal daily activities can leave marks. This is not just normal aging. Aging can make skin thinner, but aging alone does not cause sudden increases in bruising or bleeding without injury. When these appear together, they deserve evaluation. These signs are more common in people with chronic liver disease, cirrhosis, alcohol-related injury, or advanced fatty liver disease, but they can appear earlier. Easy bruising does not always mean severe liver failure, but it does mean clotting function may be impaired and liver protein production reduced. These are important findings. Pay attention to frequency, size, color, and how long bruises last. If they increase without explanation, speak to a healthcare professional. Blood tests can assess clotting function quickly. Recognizing these signs early can prevent serious complications. Closing for Part 7. Easy bruising and bleeding are not just skin issues. They reflect changes in how the liver supports blood and healing. Recognize them early. Stay informed and stay proactive. We'll see you in the next part of our series on understanding your liver's messages. One of the most overlooked visible signs of liver disease is a change in body shape. Not weight alone, but where weight is gained or lost. These changes often happen slowly, which makes them easy to dismiss, but they can reveal vital information about liver function. The liver plays a central role in protein metabolism, fat processing, hormone regulation, and overall energy balance. When liver function declines, the body's ability to maintain muscle and distribute fat normally begins to change significantly. This leads to visible shifts in body composition that serve as important indicators of your internal liver health. Sign number 16 is muscle wasting, medically called sarcopenia. This is one of the most important visible signs. People may notice thinner arms and legs, reduced strength, or difficulty performing everyday tasks. It's often very gradual. Muscle loss often appears before major weight loss. This happens because the liver is less able to process protein efficiently. When the liver can't support muscle repair or maintain normal metabolism, your body begins to break down its own tissue. At the same time muscle is lost, fat may accumulate around the abdomen. This creates a very distinctive pattern. You may see thin arms and legs combined with an enlarged or rounded belly. This is not just simple weight gain. It reflects altered fat metabolism and hormonal imbalances. This pattern is common in chronic liver disease and cirrhosis. Muscle loss combined with abdominal enlargement is a major red flag. It suggests the body is struggling to maintain structure. These changes increase frailty, fall risk, and infection risk. Recognizing them early allows for vital intervention. Frailty and poor recovery are direct consequences of muscle wasting. It is a sign that your liver needs immediate support. Why do people miss these signs? Because they happen so gradually, they are often attributed to simply getting older. Stable weight can hide significant internal change. Your body composition matters much more than the number on the scale. Don't assume muscle loss is just because you're less active. Consistent changes in your shape deserve an evaluation. These signs are more common in chronic liver disease or alcohol-related injury, but they can appear earlier than expected. Body shape changes indicate metabolic stress and altered hormone balance. Address these signs early for better outcomes. Early detection through shape changes can lead to interventions that preserve muscle mass and liver function. So, what should you do if you notice these changes? Pay close attention to your muscle tone and clothing fit. Discuss any loss of strength or endurance with a healthcare professional, especially if other visible signs are present. Professional evaluation and diagnostic tests can clarify if your liver is the root cause of these shape changes. Changes in body shape are not just cosmetic, they reflect how well the liver supports your structure, strength, and metabolism. Recognizing them early allows for intervention before complications develop. Awareness is your first line of defense. Thank you for following this series. In our final segment, we will summarize all visible signs and your next steps for liver health. Invest in your knowledge, and you invest in your strength. We'll see you in the next part. By now, you've seen how the liver communicates, not through pain, not through sudden symptoms, but through visible signs. On the skin, in the eyes, on the hands, in the body. These signs are not meant to frighten you. They are meant to inform you. Why timing matters so much with the liver. The liver has an incredible ability to regenerate. In early disease, it can heal damaged tissue, restore function, reverse inflammation. But this capacity is not unlimited. When disease progresses too far, scarring becomes permanent. That's why timing matters. Early liver disease versus advanced liver disease. Early liver disease often shows subtle skin color changes, mild itching, fatigue, small vessel changes, early body composition shifts. At this stage, blood tests may be near normal. Imaging may not show clear damage, symptoms may be vague, but intervention works. Advanced liver disease often shows obvious jaundice, ascites, which is abdominal swelling, leg and facial swelling, easy bruising and bleeding, muscle wasting, confusion or mental changes. At this stage, damage is often irreversible. Options become limited, complications increase. Why visible signs are so important? Visible signs often appear before severe symptoms. They are early warning signals. Ignoring them doesn't make them go away. Listening early creates options. What to do if you notice multiple signs? You do not self-diagnose, but you do. Take note of patterns, document changes over time, seek medical evaluation. Who should be especially vigilant? You should be especially attentive if you have fatty liver, diabetes, or a history of regular alcohol use. Take long-term medications or have viral hepatitis history, but liver disease can affect anyone, which is why awareness matters. The most important takeaway. Seeing one sign does not mean liver disease. Seeing patterns matters. The liver whispers before it fails. Visible signs are part of that whisper. The goal is not fear. The goal is early action. Early liver disease is often reversible. Advanced liver disease is not. Knowing what to look for changes outcomes. If this series helped you, please like and subscribe for more doctor-led health education. Awareness saves lives. Join us next time as we continue to protect your health. Notice early, act early, protect your liver. Let me tell you something most people don't think about. Your liver is working right now, not just a little, not casually. It's filtering your blood, processing nutrients, and balancing hormones, all silently. It manages cholesterol, regulates blood sugar, and breaks down toxins 24 hours a day. You don't feel your liver working until one day something feels off. Fatigue that won't go away, brain fog, and digestive discomfort are late signals. The liver doesn't complain early, it adapts, and that's where the problem begins. Certain foods, especially modern processed foods, slowly overload it, not dramatically, but consistently. Over time, that can contribute to fatty liver disease, inflammation, and insulin resistance. Let's start with one of the biggest offenders, sugar-sweetened beverages. Soda, energy drinks, and even natural juice blends are dangerous for the liver because of fructose. Unlike glucose, fructose is processed almost entirely in the liver. When you consume large amounts, the liver converts it into fat, which can accumulate inside liver cells. Excess fruit juice is another issue. Whole fruit contains fiber, but juice removes it, leaving concentrated fructose. Your liver processes it the same way it processes soda. Liquid sugar is absorbed rapidly. There's no fiber to slow it down, and your liver takes the metabolic hit. Daily large servings become a source of significant organ stress. Highly processed snack foods like chips and packaged pastries contain refined flour and seed oils. Refined flour spikes blood sugar and triggers insulin. Repeated insulin spikes promote fat storage, including fat storage in the liver. Combined with inflammatory seed oils, you have a recipe for chronic low-grade liver inflammation. It's not one soda or one pastry. It's the repetition day after day. If you care about protecting your health after 60, subscribe for weekly evidence-based videos. Thank you for watching. Let's continue. The next group of foods doesn't just overload the liver with sugar, they trigger inflammation. And inflammation inside the liver is what turns simple fat buildup into something more serious. 4. Deep fried foods, fried chicken, French fries, fried snacks, fast food meals. These foods are typically cooked in oils that are heated to very high temperatures, often reused multiple times. When oils are repeatedly heated, they oxidize. Oxidized fats generate free radicals. Free radicals increase oxidative stress inside the liver, and oxidative stress damages liver cells. On top of that, fried foods are usually high in refined carbohydrates, excess calories, and poor quality fats. All of that increases fat storage in liver tissue. Now here's something important. The liver is resilient, but chronic exposure to oxidized fats forces it to constantly repair damage, and over time, repair capacity can decline. Now let's talk about something people underestimate. 5. Processed meats, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, deli meats. These meats often contain nitrates and nitrites, high sodium levels, preservatives, and saturated fats. Processed meats are linked to systemic inflammation, and high sodium intake can worsen metabolic stress. When inflammation increases, liver cells become more vulnerable to injury. Processed meats also contribute to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is one of the strongest drivers of fatty liver disease. Now here's something many people don't realize. You don't need to drink alcohol to damage your liver. Metabolic dysfunction alone can do it. Which brings us to the next major offender. 6. Refined white carbohydrates, white bread, white pasta, white rice in large amounts, sugary breakfast cereals. Refined carbohydrates digest quickly. They spike blood sugar rapidly. Repeated blood sugar spikes cause repeated insulin surges. High insulin signals the liver to convert excess glucose into fat. Over time, that fat accumulates inside liver cells. And here's the subtle part. Even if your weight looks normal, fat can accumulate inside the liver. It's called lean fatty liver. The damage is happening internally. Protect your liver by choosing whole, unprocessed foods. Focus on metabolic stability for long-term health. Now let's talk about something that surprises almost everyone. Foods that are marketed as healthy, but can quietly stress your liver if you're not careful. Because liver damage isn't always coming from fast food. Sometimes it's coming from your health aisle. 7. Smoothies, loaded with fruit and sweeteners. Smoothies can be great, but they can also become sugar bombs. When you blend multiple fruits together and add honey or juice, you're concentrating sugar. Fructose is fructose, and the liver converts excess into fat. A balanced smoothie with protein, fiber, and minimal fruit? Fine. A 24-ounce fruit-heavy smoothie every day? That's metabolic pressure. Now let's talk about something many people consume daily. 8. Excess alcohol. Even moderate daily drinking. When you drink alcohol, your liver prioritizes metabolizing it above everything else. Fat metabolism slows down. Detoxification pathways get busy. Oxidative stress increases. Even moderate daily drinking can prevent the liver from properly processing fats. Over time, fat accumulates, then inflammation, then scarring. And here's something important. You don't need to be an alcoholic to damage your liver. Consistent daily intake, even if socially accepted, can gradually increase risk. Your liver needs recovery time. Now let's move to something much more subtle. 9. Energy drinks. Energy drinks are a double hit. High sugar, high caffeine, artificial additives. Some contain extremely high doses of niacin, vitamin B3. In excess amounts, niacin can elevate liver enzymes. Add sugar overload to that. And the liver is forced to process both stimulant compounds and glucose spikes at the same time. That's a metabolic storm. Now pause and think about the pattern again. The liver struggles most when it has to process high fructose, deal with repeated insulin spikes, neutralize toxins, manage oxidized fats, and handle alcohol metabolism. And when those inputs come daily, fat begins to accumulate, inflammation begins to rise, and liver enzymes may slowly creep upward. In the next section, we'll talk about something even more surprising. Foods that damage the liver not because of sugar, but because of chemical overload. Let's talk about something that confuses a lot of people. Foods that look healthy on the outside, but quietly stress the liver on the inside. Because not all liver damage comes from obvious junk food. Sometimes it comes from things marketed as natural, low-fat, or fit. On the surface, yogurt sounds healthy, but many flavored yogurts contain as much sugar as a dessert. When fat is removed, sugar is often added to improve taste. That added sugar goes straight to the liver for processing. As we discussed earlier, excess fructose promotes fat buildup inside liver cells. Low fat doesn't mean low impact. Always check the label. Plain yogurt with no added sugar is completely different from a sweetened cup. Now let's move to something even more misleading: agave syrup. Agave is marketed as natural, but it is extremely high in fructose, often higher than high fructose corn syrup. Natural does not automatically mean liver-friendly. Fructose is processed almost entirely by the liver. Large, repeated amounts overwhelm normal metabolic pathways and increase fat production in the liver. It's about cumulative workload. Now here's another surprising one: excessive protein supplements. Protein itself supports liver repair, but processed powders often contain artificial sweeteners, thickeners, and flavoring chemicals. Your liver has to process all of that. Constant high-dose supplementation without medical need can increase metabolic workload. Whole food protein sources are generally safer and easier for the body to regulate. Moderate, real food protein is fine. Now here's the key pattern emerging. It's not just about obvious junk food. It's about metabolic overload, high sugar, refined carbs, and artificial additives. The liver adapts under constant pressure until it eventually turns into dysfunction. In the next section, we'll talk about beverages beyond soda that quietly stress the liver. Awareness is your strongest defense. Thank you for following this series. Stay healthy. Now let's talk about beverages and additives that people consume every single day, without realizing how much extra work they're creating for their liver. Because remember, the liver doesn't just process sugar and fat. It also processes chemicals. Preservatives, artificial colors, flavor enhancers, sweeteners, everything you consume eventually passes through it. 13. Artificially sweetened drinks. Diet soda, zero sugar energy drinks, sugar-free flavored waters. These are marketed as healthier alternatives to sugary drinks. And while they don't spike blood sugar the same way sugar does, they're not metabolically neutral. Artificial sweeteners may disrupt gut bacteria, increase cravings, and alter insulin response in some individuals. And here's why that matters for the liver. Your gut and liver are directly connected through something called the portal vein. If gut bacteria become imbalanced, inflammatory compounds can travel directly to the liver. This is called the gut-liver axis. Disruption in gut health can promote liver inflammation. So while diet drinks remove sugar, they can introduce a different type of metabolic stress. Now, let's talk about something very common. 14. Highly processed frozen meals. They're convenient, they're portion-controlled, they seem practical, but many frozen meals are loaded with refined carbohydrates, excess sodium, low-quality fats, and preservatives. High sodium intake can worsen insulin resistance and increase blood pressure. Refined carbohydrates spike insulin. Low-quality fats increase oxidative stress. And when you combine all three, the liver is constantly managing metabolic chaos. Daily reliance creates chronic burden. Now here's something people rarely consider. 15. Excessive herbal or detox supplements. This might surprise you. Some herbal supplements marketed for liver cleansing have actually been linked to liver injury. Green tea extract in very high doses. Kava. Certain bodybuilding supplements. Unregulated herbal blends. The liver metabolizes supplements just like medications. More is not always better. High doses of concentrated extracts can overwhelm liver detox pathways. And unlike regulated medications, supplements are not always tested for purity. Contamination with heavy metals or undisclosed compounds can occur. Your liver has to process all of it. Now let's zoom out. The most damaging pattern isn't one specific food. It's chronic overload. Too much sugar, too much alcohol, too many refined carbs, too many oxidized fats, and too many additives. The liver is resilient. But resilience is not infinite. Protect your liver by reducing the unnecessary burden. Choose stability for your long-term health. Up until now, we've talked about what stresses the liver, but here's the part most people miss. The liver can be struggling, and you won't feel pain. Unlike your stomach or your joints, your liver doesn't send strong early warning signals. It adapts quietly. So what are the subtle signs that your liver may already be under pressure? Let's go through them. First, persistent fatigue. Not the kind that improves with sleep, the kind that lingers. The liver plays a role in energy metabolism. When it's overloaded, energy production can feel sluggish. Second, brain fog. The liver helps filter toxins and metabolic waste. When detoxification pathways are stressed, mental clarity can suffer. You may feel slower, less sharp, less focused. Third, bloating or discomfort in the upper right abdomen, not sharp pain, just pressure or fullness. The liver sits under the right rib cage. Inflammation or fat accumulation can create subtle sensations there. Fourth, elevated triglycerides or blood sugar. Fatty liver is strongly linked with metabolic syndrome. If your labs show rising triglycerides, rising fasting glucose, or increasing A1C, the liver may be involved. Fifth, unexplained weight gain around the abdomen. Visceral fat and fatty liver often develop together. And here's something important. You don't need to drink alcohol to develop fatty liver. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is now one of the most common liver conditions worldwide, driven primarily by diet and metabolic stress. Now here's the good news. The liver has remarkable regenerative capacity. When you remove chronic stressors, it can recover. But that recovery requires reducing sugar, reducing refined carbs, limiting alcohol, choosing whole foods, and allowing metabolic rest. Consistency in these steps supports the liver's natural healing process. If you want to protect your health before problems develop, subscribe for more practical health education. Remember, your liver adapts quietly, so listen early. Let's talk about something that confuses a lot of people. Foods that look healthy on the outside, but quietly stress the liver on the inside. Because not all liver damage comes from obvious junk food. Sometimes it comes from things marketed as natural, low-fat, or fit. On the surface, yogurt sounds healthy. But many flavored yogurts contain as much sugar as a dessert. When fat is removed, sugar is often added to improve taste. That added sugar goes straight to the liver for processing. As we discussed earlier, excess fructose promotes fat buildup inside liver cells. Low fat doesn't mean low impact. Always check the label. Plain yogurt with no added sugar is completely different from a sweetened cup. Now let's move to something even more misleading: agave syrup. Agave is marketed as natural, but it is extremely high in fructose, often higher than high fructose corn syrup. Natural does not automatically mean liver-friendly. Fructose is processed almost entirely by the liver. Large, repeated amounts overwhelm normal metabolic pathways and increase fat production in the liver. It's about cumulative workload. Now here's another surprising one: excessive protein supplements. Protein itself supports liver repair, but processed powders often contain artificial sweeteners, thickeners, and flavoring chemicals. Your liver has to process all of that. Constant high-dose supplementation without medical need can increase metabolic workload. Whole food protein sources are generally safer and easier for the body to regulate. Moderate, real food protein is fine. Now here's the key pattern emerging. It's not just about obvious junk food. It's about metabolic overload, high sugar, refined carbs, and artificial additives. The liver adapts under constant pressure until it eventually turns into dysfunction. In the next section, we'll talk about beverages beyond soda that quietly stress the liver. Awareness is your strongest defense. Thank you for following this series. Stay healthy. Now let's talk about beverages and additives that people consume every single day, without realizing how much extra work they're creating for their liver. Because remember, the liver doesn't just process sugar and fat. It also processes chemicals. Preservatives, artificial colors, flavor enhancers, sweeteners, everything you consume eventually passes through it. 13. Artificially sweetened drinks. Diet soda, zero sugar energy drinks, sugar-free flavored waters. These are marketed as healthier alternatives to sugary drinks. And while they don't spike blood sugar the same way sugar does, they're not metabolically neutral. Artificial sweeteners may disrupt gut bacteria, increase cravings, and alter insulin response in some individuals. And here's why that matters for the liver. Your gut and liver are directly connected through something called the portal vein. If gut bacteria become imbalanced, inflammatory compounds can travel directly to the liver. This is called the gut-liver axis. Disruption in gut health can promote liver inflammation. So while diet drinks remove sugar, they can introduce a different type of metabolic stress. Now, let's talk about something very common. 14. Highly processed frozen meals. They're convenient, they're portion-controlled, they seem practical, but many frozen meals are loaded with refined carbohydrates, excess sodium, low-quality fats, and preservatives. High sodium intake can worsen insulin resistance and increase blood pressure. Refined carbohydrates spike insulin. Low-quality fats increase oxidative stress. And when you combine all three, the liver is constantly managing metabolic chaos. Daily reliance creates chronic burden. Now here's something people rarely consider. 15. Excessive herbal or detox supplements. This might surprise you. Some herbal supplements marketed for liver cleansing have actually been linked to liver injury. Green tea extract in very high doses. Kava. Certain bodybuilding supplements. Unregulated herbal blends. The liver metabolizes supplements just like medications. More is not always better. High doses of concentrated extracts can overwhelm liver detox pathways. And unlike regulated medications, supplements are not always tested for purity. Contamination with heavy metals or undisclosed compounds can occur. Your liver has to process all of it. Now let's zoom out. The most damaging pattern isn't one specific food. It's chronic overload. Too much sugar, too much alcohol, too many refined carbs, too many oxidized fats, and too many additives. The liver is resilient. But resilience is not infinite. Protect your liver by reducing the unnecessary burden. Choose stability for your long-term health. Up until now, we've talked about what stresses the liver, but here's the part most people miss. The liver can be struggling, and you won't feel pain. Unlike your stomach or your joints, your liver doesn't send strong early warning signals. It adapts quietly. So what are the subtle signs that your liver may already be under pressure? Let's go through them. First, persistent fatigue. Not the kind that improves with sleep, the kind that lingers. The liver plays a role in energy metabolism. When it's overloaded, energy production can feel sluggish. Second, brain fog. The liver helps filter toxins and metabolic waste. When detoxification pathways are stressed, mental clarity can suffer. You may feel slower, less sharp, less focused. Third, bloating or discomfort in the upper right abdomen. Not sharp pain, just pressure or fullness. The liver sits under the right rib cage. Inflammation or fat accumulation can create subtle sensations there. Fourth, elevated triglycerides or blood sugar. Fatty liver is strongly linked with metabolic syndrome. If your labs show rising triglycerides, rising fasting glucose, or increasing A1C, the liver may be involved. Fifth, unexplained weight gain around the abdomen. Visceral fat and fatty liver often develop together. And here's something important. You don't need to drink alcohol to develop fatty liver. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is now one of the most common liver conditions worldwide, driven primarily by diet and metabolic stress. Now here's the good news. The liver has remarkable regenerative capacity. When you remove chronic stressors, it can recover. But that recovery requires reducing sugar, reducing refined carbs, limiting alcohol, choosing whole foods, and allowing metabolic rest. Consistency in these steps supports the liver's natural healing process. If you want to protect your health before problems develop, subscribe for more practical health education. Remember, your liver adapts quietly, so listen early. Let me say something important right away. Fatty liver is not rare anymore. It's not something that only happens to people who drink heavily. It's happening to people who barely drink at all, in their 30s, 40s, and even younger. Most of the time, there are no symptoms. You don't feel the fat building or insulin resistance developing until your doctor sees elevated enzymes or an ultrasound shows fat accumulation. Early detection is key. Now, here's the good news. Fatty liver, especially in early stages, is reversible. Not with detox teas or starvation diets, but with consistent metabolic changes where food plays a huge role. Recovery is possible through physiology. Food supports your liver because certain foods reduce insulin resistance, inflammation, and fat storage inside liver cells. In this series, I'll walk you through the 10 best foods that support reversal. Let's start with one that surprises people. Food number 1, coffee. Yes, coffee. And I'm not talking about sugary dessert drinks. I'm talking about plain, moderate coffee. It's a powerful tool for your liver. Large studies show that regular coffee drinkers have a lower risk of fibrosis and lower enzyme levels. It appears to reduce inflammation and may even help slow scar tissue formation through compounds like chlorogenic acids. The key is moderation, 2 to 3 cups per day, plain with minimal sugar. That's food number 1, and we're just getting started on this journey to liver health. Thank you for watching. If you care about protecting your health after 60, subscribe now. I post weekly evidence-based videos like this. All right, let's move to something that doesn't get enough credit. If coffee helps reduce inflammation, this next group helps your liver process fat more efficiently. Food number 2, cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, kale. These vegetables contain compounds called glucosinolates. When you chew them, those compounds convert into bioactive molecules like sulforaphane, and sulforaphane does something powerful. It activates liver detoxification pathways, not in a dramatic, flush toxins overnight way, but in a steady, biological way. It increases activity of phase 2 detox enzymes, the systems your liver uses to neutralize harmful compounds and metabolic byproducts. Sulforaphane increases internal antioxidant production, especially something called glutathione. Glutathione is your liver's main antioxidant defense. Higher glutathione levels mean less oxidative damage, less inflammation, better cellular repair. Now here's how to use these vegetables correctly. Lightly steam them, don't overcook them until they're mush, and chew them thoroughly, because the conversion to sulforaphane happens when plant enzymes activate during chewing. You don't need giant servings. One serving daily makes a difference. Now let's move to something equally powerful, but in a completely different way. Food, number 3, fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel. These are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s reduce liver fat by lowering triglycerides, improving insulin sensitivity, and reducing inflammatory cytokines. Fatty liver is often driven by high triglycerides. Omega-3s directly target that mechanism. Several clinical trials show omega-3 supplementation reduces liver fat content in people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Whole fish is even better than supplements when possible. 2 servings per week is a strong starting point. Notice the pattern forming. Coffee reduces inflammation. Cruciferous vegetables enhance detox and antioxidant systems. Fatty fish reduce triglycerides and liver fat. We are targeting fatty liver from multiple angles. Let's move to something simple. Not exotic, not expensive, not trendy. Something that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Food number 4, extra virgin olive oil. Now, before anyone panics, yes, it's fat. But here's the key. Not all fats behave the same way in the liver. Extra virgin olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats and powerful polyphenols, and those compounds do 3 important things. First, they improve insulin sensitivity. When insulin sensitivity improves, the liver produces less fat from glucose. Second, olive oil reduces oxidative stress. The polyphenols protect liver cells. And third, it may reduce liver enzyme levels. Studies show that moderate healthy fat intake, especially olive oil, can actually reduce liver fat more effectively than ultra-low-fat approaches. Because ultra-low-fat diets often increase refined carbs, a major driver of fatty liver. So it's about choosing the right fat. Now let's talk about something that works in a completely different way. Food number 5. Oats. Simple, affordable, underrated. Oats contain a special type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan slows digestion. Slower digestion means lower blood sugar spikes, lower insulin spikes, and less fat production in the liver. If you reduce rapid glucose absorption, you reduce that conversion. Oats also help lower LDL cholesterol and triglycerides. That improves overall metabolic function. Now here's the key. Plain oats, not sugar-loaded instant packets. Plain oats with berries, nuts, or seeds added manually. That's how you turn a simple grain into a metabolic tool. Now step back for a moment. Look at what we've built so far. Coffee reduces inflammation. Cruciferous vegetables boost defenses. Fatty fish reduce triglycerides. Olive oil improves sensitivity, and oats stabilize blood sugar. We're attacking fatty liver from multiple directions, and we're only halfway through. Subscribe to keep learning how to protect your liver health. All right, now we're getting into something powerful. Not trendy, not complicated, but incredibly effective when used consistently. Food number 6, turmeric. It contains a compound called curcumin. Fatty liver becomes dangerous when fat triggers inflammation. This is what turns simple fatty liver into NASH, which can progress toward fibrosis and irreversible scarring. Curcumin helps regulate inflammatory pathways, especially one called NF-κB. When NF-κB is overactive, inflammatory genes get switched on aggressively. Curcumin helps calm that signal. Turmeric absorbs better when combined with black pepper. Piperine improves absorption significantly. You can add it to soups, eggs, or vegetables. Consistency matters more than dosage. Now let's move to something that works through a completely different mechanism. Food number 7, berries. Blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries are rich in powerful antioxidants. Fatty liver becomes more serious when oxidative stress increases. Damaged liver cells trigger inflammation, which worsens fat accumulation. Berries interrupt that cycle. Berries are sweet, but their fiber content slows sugar absorption. This means less blood sugar spike compared to processed sweets. Half a cup to 1 cup daily is reasonable. We are reducing inflammation, improving insulin sensitivity, and supporting antioxidant defenses. Fatty liver improves when metabolic chaos calms down. Thank you for watching. Now let's talk about something that people often get wrong when they're trying to fix fatty liver. They cut calories, carbs, and fat, but they forget one critical thing: protein. Adequate protein is essential for liver repair, and one specific protein source stands out. Food, Burger 8, legumes, lentils, chickpeas, and black beans. Legumes are powerful for fatty liver for several reasons. First, they're high in fiber. Fiber slows glucose absorption. Slower glucose absorption means lower insulin spikes. Lower insulin means less fat production in the liver. Second, they contain plant protein. Protein increases satiety. When you feel full longer, you're less likely to snack on refined carbs and sugar. Third, legumes improve gut health. And here's something many people don't realize. The gut and the liver are directly connected. It's called the gut-liver axis. When gut bacteria are balanced, fewer inflammatory compounds reach the liver. When gut bacteria are disrupted, inflammatory toxins can travel directly to liver tissue. Legumes feed beneficial gut bacteria. Better gut health equals less liver inflammation. Now here's the key. You don't need massive servings. Half a cup per day is a strong start. Swap white rice for lentils occasionally. Add chickpeas to salads. Use black beans in place of refined carb-heavy sides. Now let's move to something that supports the liver in a completely different way. Food number 9, nuts, especially walnuts. Walnuts are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, polyphenols, and L-arginine. They reduce inflammation and improve endothelial function, which helps overall metabolic health. Several studies have shown that regular nut consumption is associated with lower liver fat, better lipid profiles, and reduced inflammation. And here's something important. Nuts improve satiety. When you snack on nuts instead of refined snacks, you reduce blood sugar spikes. That alone reduces fat accumulation in liver cells. One small handful per day is enough. Not sugar-coated, not salted excessively, simple, raw, or dry roasted. Now step back and notice something. We're not using extreme foods. We're using fiber, healthy fats, antioxidants, and stable protein sources. Fatty liver improves when metabolic stress decreases. Focus on simple, consistent choices for your long-term health. Now we're going to talk about something that almost nobody thinks of as liver food. It's not green, it's not exotic, it's not trendy, but it plays a huge role in reversing fatty liver. Food. 10. Eggs. Yes, eggs. For years, eggs were unfairly blamed for cholesterol issues. But here's what matters for fatty liver. Eggs are one of the best natural sources of choline. Choline is essential for liver health. Without enough choline, the liver struggles to export fat properly. Let me explain. The liver packages fat into particles called VLDL, so it can send fat out into circulation instead of storing it internally. Choline is required to build those particles. If you're low in choline, fat can accumulate inside liver cells. That's one reason why low-protein, low-nutrient diets sometimes worsen fatty liver. Eggs provide highly bioavailable choline. They also provide high-quality protein, which supports repair and muscle maintenance. Muscle mass improves insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity reduces liver fat production. Now here's the key. Eggs aren't dangerous for fatty liver in moderate amounts. Unless someone has a specific medical reason, 1 to 2 eggs per day is generally reasonable in a balanced diet. Now let's step back for a moment. We've covered the 10 best foods: coffee, cruciferous vegetables, fatty fish, olive oil, oats, turmeric, berries, legumes, walnuts, and eggs. Notice what they all have in common. They improve insulin sensitivity, inflammation, oxidative stress, triglycerides, and fat metabolism. Fatty liver improves when these 5 factors improve. But we're not finished. In the next video, we'll talk about the daily patterns that protect these gains. Subscribe to keep learning how to protect your health. All right, this is where everything becomes practical, because knowing the 10 best foods is helpful. But most people think, okay, but how do I actually eat this way without overcomplicating my life? So let me show you what this looks like in a real day. Not a perfect Instagram day, a realistic one. Morning. Start with coffee. Plain or lightly sweetened. If you eat breakfast, try oatmeal topped with berries and a handful of walnuts. Right there, you've covered fiber, antioxidants, healthy fats, and blood sugar stability. If you prefer eggs, have 1 to 2 eggs with sautéed spinach or broccoli in olive oil. Now you've added choline, protein, cruciferous compounds, and healthy fat. That's a powerful start for liver metabolism. Lunch. Try a large salad with leafy greens, chickpeas or lentils, olive oil dressing, and maybe grilled salmon. You've now added fiber, plant protein, omega-3s, and anti-inflammatory fats. This kind of meal keeps insulin stable for hours. Stable insulin equals less liver fat production. Now let's look at dinner. Dinner, grilled fish or legumes, roasted vegetables, especially broccoli or Brussels sprouts, drizzle of olive oil, and turmeric seasoning. You've hit detox support, triglyceride control, inflammation reduction, and choline if you include eggs earlier in the day. Notice something important. There's no starvation, no extreme carb elimination, no expensive superfoods, just consistent metabolic calm. Fatty liver improves when blood sugar spikes are reduced, triglycerides drop, inflammation decreases, and the liver has time to export stored fat. Now here's the part people underestimate. Consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need to eat perfectly for 7 days. You need to eat consistently well for months. Fat accumulation happened over years. Reversal takes time, but it absolutely happens. In the next part, I'll explain how quickly people typically see improvement and what lab markers begin to change first. If this day of metabolic calm made sense to you, subscribe for more practical health education. Now let's talk about something everyone wants to know. How long does it take to see improvement? Because once someone is told they have fatty liver, the first thought is, can this actually be reversed? The answer, in many cases, is yes. But let's break it down realistically. Shifting your diet toward healthy foods while removing stressors is where the journey begins. When you remove the biggest stressors, sugary drinks, refined carbs, and excess alcohol, and replace them with water and whole foods, your metabolism begins to calm. Within a few weeks, blood sugar patterns begin to stabilize. Energy improves because insulin spikes are lower, meaning less new fat is created inside the liver. Within 6 to 12 weeks, triglycerides often start to drop. Liver enzymes like ALT and AST may begin to normalize if they were mildly elevated. This is a sign inflammation is decreasing. Actual reduction in liver fat can take several months, but even a small weight reduction of 5 to 10% can significantly improve your metabolic health and liver tissue. It's not just about weight loss, it's metabolic improvement. Some people improve liver fat simply by stabilizing insulin and reducing inflammation through consistent daily choices. Commonly tracked labs include ALT, AST, triglycerides, and A1C. Improvement is gradual, but steady when the liver is given the right environment to function. When liver fat decreases, insulin sensitivity improves further and energy rises. It becomes a positive cycle that makes overall health management much easier over time. The liver doesn't change overnight, but it responds steadily when given metabolic calm. Stay consistent on your journey. Thank you for watching. Let's bring everything together clearly. Fatty liver is not a random condition. It's not bad luck. It's usually the result of repeated metabolic stress. Too many blood sugar spikes, too much insulin, too many triglycerides, too much inflammation, too much fat being created inside liver cells. And here's the empowering part. Those same mechanisms can be reversed when you consistently stabilize blood sugar, lower triglycerides, and reduce inflammation. Support antioxidant defenses, provide enough protein and choline. Choose healthy fats instead of processed ones. The liver responds. It begins exporting fat. Inflammation drops, liver enzymes improve, metabolism becomes more flexible, and this doesn't require extreme dieting. It requires removing the biggest stressors and adding the most protective foods: coffee to reduce inflammation, cruciferous vegetables to activate detox enzymes, fatty fish to lower triglycerides, olive oil to improve insulin sensitivity, oats and legumes to stabilize blood sugar, turmeric and berries to reduce oxidative stress, walnuts for anti-inflammatory support, eggs for choline and fat export. Simple, repeatable, biologically sound. The liver is incredibly resilient, but it needs consistency more than intensity. You don't need a 7-day cleanse. You need months of metabolic calm. And if you stay consistent, your body rewards you. If this video helped you understand fatty liver in a deeper, practical way, I'd truly appreciate your support. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps me continue creating detailed, science-based health content. And if you found value here, share this video with someone who may not even know their liver is under stress yet. Because early awareness makes reversal much easier. Your liver is working for you every second. Give it the environment it needs, and it will do the rest.